Welcome to another Fantasy Goodfellas video where we talk about the top 24 quarterback rankings for week 10. Richard, you ready?
Let's do it.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
Boom, boom, boom.
Rolling on the field.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
All right, before we get started on this week's rankings, Richard, tell me how we did last week.
Okay, well, last week, Ryan Tannehill didn't play. If you take out Ryan Tannehill, of the remaining 23, we hit on 22.
Boom, boom, boom.
Pretty easy week, though, because a lot of quarterbacks weren't playing. Still, we got 22 of our top 23 correct.
All right, let's just keep this thing rolling. If you haven't watched our videos, let me just explain what you should expect. Richard will give his rankings for each player, and then we'll use the stat machine to see if you agree or disagree with each of his rankings. And hopefully this will help you with your own lineups. All right, Richard, line them up.
All right, number one, we have Patrick Mahomes, who will be home against Jacksonville. What can you say? The guy puts up big numbers week in, week out. Jacksonville's a great opponent. And number two, Jalen Hurts, who will be home against Washington. Hurts has been tremendous this year also, very consistent. And number three, Josh Allen will be home against Minnesota. We still have him ranked, but he may miss this game. So keep your eye on that. And number four, Tua Tagovailoa, home against Cleveland. It's a decent matchup. Tua's been on fire. And what can you say? He's got Tyreek Hill and Waddle at receivers. What a great job by Miami GM to put that wild offense together. And number five, Justin Fields, home against Detroit. It's a great matchup. And Justin Fields all the way at number five. Yeah, he's starting to play like Lamar, and Jalen starting to be a run-first guy, playing on instinct. And he's got the physical tools. And number six, Dak Prescott at Green Bay. Dak started to show us some signs of life in week 8, and then came the bye. Hopefully the momentum continues in week 10. At number 7, we have Kyler Murray at the LA Rams. Kyler Murray's been dynamic. He's been putting up decent fantasy numbers. The issue is that team seemed to be fading. Kingsbury might be at the end of his line. At number 8, Geno Smith at Tampa Bay. Geno has been a fantasy revelation. Seattle has a future. Ironically, the Broncos do not. That's crazy, right? But Geno Smith looking good. His offense is great. Metcalf is not hurt. At number 9, Kirk Cousins at Buffalo. It's a tough matchup, and that's why Kirk Cousins is ranked a little lower, but Kirk Cousins also has plenty of weapons. And number 10, Tom Brady, home against Seattle. And Tom Brady probably would not have been in that top 10, but Seattle is a fantastic matchup. And Brady has still passed for a lot of yards, as we've talked before. The issue with the Bucs is getting the ball into the end zone. For whatever reason, they're having a big problem right now, and they just barely squeaked out a victory against the Rams. And number 11, Jared Goff at Chicago. This could be a high-scoring matchup. Fields against Goff. There's nothing wrong with that Detroit offense. They're just coming off a victory. The problem with that team is the defense. Maybe the league's worst. And number 12, Justin Herbert at San Francisco. And number 12, Justin Herbert at San Francisco. Herbert has not looked well since that injury in week 3, I believe. The injury to his ribs has not looked good. And right now, you got to go back and ask yourself that question. For a little bit, people were on the Herbert bandwagon. But who's better, Herbert or Tua? And it's starting to become a real question at this point of the season.
Hold on. People are on the Justin Herbert bandwagon. Didn't you pick Justin Herbert high for the preseason rankings?
Absolutely. Based on the previous year, but this year, if you look at his numbers, and I mean his numbers aren't terrible, but if he just doesn't look as good, and it could be because he's playing hurt. But if that's not the case, There are definitely question marks that are coming up. And number 13, Jimmy Garoppolo, home against the LA Chargers. Jimmy G he's got the weapons. Debo Samuel might be back here and he might be 100%. And they added Chris McCaffrey. So because of that, we're gonna put Jimmy Garoppolo here. And number 14, Trevor Lawrence at Kansas City. Trevor Lawrence has not looked good, but Jacksonville's been trailing. He's had to put up a lot of points or a lot of yards at this point. Against Kansas City, the same thing's going to happen. They're going to be behind. He's going to have to throw a lot. And number 15, Derek Carr, home against Indianapolis. I mean, what is wrong with that team? I have no idea. But he has Devontae Adams. And number 16, Matthew Stafford, home against Arizona. Stafford's looked bad. The Rams have looked bad, coming off another loss. But Arizona might be just what they need. He could have a big game here.
Hold on. When you say Matthew Stafford's playing bad, I see that he's in standard scoring and he's mostly above 20 points. How can that be bad?
Well, I mean, it depends how everybody else does. If you look at the rankings this week, he was kind of in the middle and he's been middling. The only thing that saved him this week was that long pass to Cooper Kupp. I mean, you can say that about a lot of people, but take out that long pass and his numbers have been middling. You know you're going to get 0 yards rushing. So there are a lot of things not to like about Matt Stafford. I was high on him before the year started because I thought the Rams were still going to be a very good team here, but obviously that's not happening. They're having issues on the offensive line. And we're seeing all of Matthew Stafford's warts. And number 17, Marcus Mariota at Carolina. The matchup is good. Marcus Mariota, we know he doesn't pass much. Every once in a while, he'll surprise the defense and make a big play, but he's more about running. And number 18, Daniel Jones, home against Houston. Another good matchup. Daniel Jones, like last year, questionable quarterback, but the Giants are winning. Dable has a good game plan. And Daniel Jones has wheels. And number 19, Aaron Rodgers, home against Dallas. And Aaron Rodgers is plummeting. At some point, you would think he would take it personally and try to put up big numbers, but that's never Aaron Rodgers' way. Aaron Rodgers is always take it easy, let the game come to you. And you see that in his demeanor. And when he says stuff like losses, this might be the best thing that could have happened to us, get out of here. And number 20, Taylor Heineke at Philadelphia. Heineke, like we said, has that relationship, has that chemistry with Terry McLaurin, which is great. Curtis Samuel has been making plays here and there. He has weapons, and he's looked much better than Carson Wentz. And number 21, Andy Dalton at Pittsburgh. At this point, we're getting to what's left. And Dalton has a decent offense. Olave's look fantastic. And Pittsburgh, not very good, but this could be a low-scoring game. At number 22, Russell Wilson at Tennessee. Wow, Russell Wilson looked horrendous most of the season. Is he hurt? Is he not? Did he hit the wall? There are many questions about Russell Wilson. And number 23, Jacoby Brissett and Miami. I don't expect Brissett to have a big game, but the Miami defense has been susceptible to the big play. And again, there are many quarterbacks left. 24, Davis Mills at the New York Giants. I think Davis Mills is terrible, but because of the matchup, because of his recent play, we'll rank him in 24.
All right, before we go, let's just look at some other rankings compared to yours. Dak Prescott isn't ranked in other rankings, and you got him 6th.
Yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't be ranked. He's playing, and he looked great 2 weeks ago before the bye, so maybe that's why he's not ranked, because he's just coming off a bye. But he's playing this week at Green Bay. Should be a top 10 quarterback across the board.
All right, let's see. Jared Goff, you have 11th. Some other rankings have him at 16.
Yeah, I like that offense. I like the Detroit offense. I think they're doing a good job there. And because their defense is so bad, the offense has to throw a lot. I like Jared Goff more than others.
All right. And the only one I'll call out is Jimmy Garoppolo. You got 13. Some other rankings have him at 9. What don't you like about him where he can't move up?
Oh, he could. I just, Jimmy Garoppolo, his game has never been to put up great fantasy numbers. The problem here is that, and not the problem, the good thing is he's got a lot of talent around him. So he can throw those 5-yard underneath passes to McCaffrey, to Deebo Samuel, and these guys will make things happen. And because he's surrounded with such talent, he gets, the benefit of the doubt. But not, some people think it's more valuable than I do. I still think it's Jimmy Garoppolo, the guy that on average throws for 200 yards.
All right. Some people will take that. All right. Thanks for coming on here and sharing your top 24 quarterback rankings. Don't forget to like and subscribe and put your questions in the comments section, and Richard would be happy to answer. Any parting words?
No, just don't forget the buys. This week it's Baltimore, Cincinnati, New England, and the Jets.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
rolling on the field.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.